Hi, I'm Mick, and this is Movies TV Mad, and welcome to the Movies TV Mad Daily Live. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. We are going to update you with all your entertainment updates, but first, an opening statement on the state of the DC Extended Universe. Delete the DCEU, I am asking. That's a question mark. I'm not making a statement. Well, let's have a look at it. Yesterday, we were told, because Walter Hamada was at the libel case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and said there were ramblings and mumblings maybe of dismissing her from Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the sequel to the first Aquaman movie, something to do with chemistry between her and Jason Momoa. Now, clearly, that's not true, and they wanted to remove her because of the negative publicity. Also, we now know in detail what happened with Ezra Miller, and we will go into detail and read an article about how the couple who had a restraining order against him have lifted that restraining order. And I'll explain why that doesn't really matter in the scheme of things. We have two actors here where the public is saying, we're going to boycott this movie. If they're in this movie, if they're still involved with this franchise, I will never boycott DC live action, but many, many people will. It's an absolute mess. And then we'll go into detail later on about these rumors about Henry Cavill's Superman being deleted within the DC Extended Universe. This franchise is not fit for purpose. It's not. It has terrible consumer confidence. Ronnie Dodge, hey Mick, good morning to you, Ronnie Dodge. So this franchise has terrible consumer confidence. John, hey Mick, hey John. Yesterday they also delayed the companion piece comic book, which is it's basically a comic book prequel, right? And it's in 3 parts. And they've delayed it. Now the rumor is they've delayed it until October. And I asked the question yesterday on my live, why didn't they delay it when the movie was delayed? And every time I shake something off and I say, you know what, it's okay, I'll still support this thing, it's fine, it's all going to happen, something else, conspires to happen, to knock my confidence about this franchise. So I used to be the DCEU's most, ardent defender. 80s rewind the times 90s. Good morning, buddy. Good morning, 80s rewind the times 90. So I used to be the DCEU's most ardent defender. I can't defend these things. We started off with Zack Snyder. He left. His vision, dead. Then we thought Walter Hamada's come in as president of DC Films. Right, this outfit's getting a bit professional. He was planning a multiversal strategy. It sounded exciting. It still sounded a bit odd and what they were going to do with Snyder and all of that. They then released the Snyder Cut. So the plan sounded really cool. And now we're hearing things about Ezra Miller. We have the Amber Heard libel case. Lots of shit's coming out. And Walter Hamada ain't running shit. He's just a puppet. He's Toby Emmerich's puppet. So I don't see how we can go forward at this moment in time. And I know that people don't want to hear this. They want to hear me, a YouTuber who loves DC live action, to say, yeah, everything's all right. I could say that before when they were planning a multiverse strategy. Even with what Ray Fisher was saying, I could defend Walter Hamada, right? Even with some of what the propaganda merchants were saying about the Hamadaverse, I could defend Hamada. I could no longer defend this from the moment they delayed the Flash movie without an honest, genuine reason. They let it slip to a reporter. It was about VFX. They don't even make any official statements. Again, it was the press that announced the prequel comic being delayed. There's no one involved with DC live action that communicates with the fans. This is not how you run a franchise. I hate to have positive things to say about Kevin Feige, but he is the MCU stands and shields and fans superhero. He's there. He's communicating. Actors, directors are communicating. The MCU, whether you like it or not, is the most successful franchise ever because of Kevin Feige. Not only because of what he does behind the scenes, but because of what he does in front of the scenes. There's no such leadership at the DC Extended Universe. We were supposed to be getting a Superman of color, a race-bended Clark Kent. 1 minute rumors are saying, coming to me and other people, that it's not happening. Now we hear Ta-Nehisi Coates is delivering a script soon. We'll see if Warner Brothers accept his pitch. And we don't know about that. There was supposed to be a Val Zod miniseries, produced by Michael B. Jordan over on HBO Max. Again, we're not hearing anything about this. What's happened to the Justice League Dark Universe from J.J. Abrams? We haven't heard a thing. And now David Zaslav and Discovery have come in. And I imagine there's a lot of strong conversations coming between him and Toby Emmerich. The audience, the consumer can see there is no leadership. There's no structure. There's no identity. There's a vision from Walter Hamada, but now that vision keeps on being delayed and being pushed further and further back. Meanwhile, we're getting Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, part of Feige's vision of a multiverse strategy for the MCU. They're going to be way ahead of us. The reputation of the DCEU keeps on getting trod in the mud. Gabriel's in on us. Hi, good morning. That's my nephew. Hi, Gabriel. How are you doing? So this franchise keeps on being trod in the mud. And it gets down and worse and worse. As they keep on saying, they keep on digging themselves out of one hole and then digging another for themselves. So this franchise isn't fit for purpose. So maybe we should abolish it and just give faith to Matt Reeves and let him do his Batman stuff and whatever he wants for now. And maybe later on, down the line, we can go back to a brand new DC Extended Universe. Or we have actually got a successful DC Extended Universe with the Arrowverse. Maybe spin that off into live action movies. Ronnie Dodge, we got the Warner Brothers Discovery up front in May. I think Walter will be there. Well, that would be nice because right now he's spoken more at a liable case than he has publicly about his job. So, obviously, people are going to be there, but it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I hope the upfronts clarify situations, but unless Warner Brothers Discovery and Zaslav sort this out and quickly, this is a mess that is getting away from the studio. And as I say, there will be people boycotting the Flash movie because of Miller. There will be people boycotting Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom because of Amber Heard. It's a mess. I don't have any hate for Amber Heard. Live and let live as far as I'm concerned. Gabriel's in us. Hello from Fair. Hello, Fair. I love you. Yeah, so, I don't have any deep hate for Amber Heard. Live and let live. It's her private life. It's Johnny's private life. It shouldn't connect with the movies, but it does because Johnny Depp was removed from his position at Fantastic Beasts. So people take these things personally. So this is a very highly damaged franchise. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no way back. 80s rewind at times, 90s. I love DC. It's so important to me. I have friends who literally laugh at me who are Marvel fans, and I can't stand it. But it's hard to deny their success. Yeah, when a Marvel shill laughs at us, what can we fucking say? It's embarrassing. Ronnie Dodge, they said about boycotting the first Aquaman because of Amber, still made $1 billion. That was early days, and Johnny Depp hadn't been removed right now. Johnny Depp hadn't been removed at that time. A totally different situation. We can be fans, but we can't be blind, Ronnie. We can't be blind. This is a damaging situation, and I can accept Amber Heard still being involved. I can accept Miller doing what he did and still being involved. What I can't accept is a movie being delayed without any public reaction from the director being gagged, by the studio not communicating anything with its consumer. It's terrible, and it's one accident after the other. The film's pretty much been leaked to the public. Why? Why are they spoiling the movie? They're spoiling the movie. Why are they leaking out that Henry Cavill is being replaced? These are damaging things that should not be happening. We knew jack shit about Spider-Man No Way Home, apart from the free Spider-Man. We didn't know what was going to happen in that movie. They kept it under wraps. The Batman was totally leaked. This studio is a mess, and it's a big, impossible job for David Zaslav and Discovery. Unless they're just a bunch of likely lads who are just coming in to make some money, then DC doesn't get fixed here. And DC needs fixing. We need a DC Studios. We need organization. They have to release these movies now, just like they had to release Fantastic Beasts and The Secrets of Dumbledore, to no avail. This was going to be a celebratory year, everyone, and I was so excited. And you know that. Go back to my videos. And then they took my excitement, your excitement away. They delayed 2 movies, delayed Black Adam to October, brought Shazam! Fury of the Gods forward. And now I'm hearing there's Black Adam reshoots as well. That's all these people do, is reshoots. So this is where we are now. So I have no confidence in this franchise any longer. And I love this franchise. And I will stand on a hill and say that the DCEU has better movies than the MCU individually. But it's a shit franchise that makes no sense. And all because they brought in Zack Snyder, which they should never have done, as much as I love Zack and his DC movies. So you let him finish his thing, he would have been done by now. But it's an utter freaking mess. And how they fix this mess, I just don't know. Now, before I give you all your entertainment updates, and we take a deeper dive into this by reading all the articles, I'm going to give you my stance on Manchester United. That is an English soccer team to you Americans. Manchester United is behind every single hardcore elite club. It's only this season that we got in a director of football. Every club worth anything has a director of football, and he's a guy who was already there. Our stadium is way behind Manchester City, Tottenham Hotspur, especially Barcelona, Real Madrid. Nothing's been done with this stadium for years. Now they're talking about knocking the whole thing and starting again. Now I support that, but these changes are only happening because Manchester United fans, my fellow Manchester United fans, God bless them, went out and demonstrated against the Glazers. But there's a conversation to be had about the Glazers, because as much as I love Sir Alex Ferguson, it was down to him and his involvement with buying some horses and falling out with his partners that brought the Glazers to Manchester United. But no one ever wants to talk about that. And this is where we are. So we're stuck with the Glazers. You can boycott them. You can, unfollow Manchester United's official social media account. But we have now, we are now very close to getting a really good brand new manager. Ronnie Dodge, we are shocking bad. Ollie put us back a decade, and apparently there's a protest against the Glazers against the match at Norwich at the weekend. I think with the announcement of Ten Hag, I don't think many people are going to be interested, but I'm sure there'll be a fair amount of people there. I believe we're stuck with the Glazers. If we heard they were going to sell the club, that would be very, very exciting at the right time with a brand new elite manager coming in. And here's the thing about this manager. He's going to come in next season. He ain't Harry fucking Potter, right? There's no miracles here. He's going to have to work hard behind the scenes, get rid of a lot of players and bring in new ones. A mixture from the youth system and players outside of the club. We can't keep on complaining with every misplaced pass and every defeat. We probably won't win anything under him next year. We are going to have to show patience. Right. Let's update you with all your entertainment updates, starting with my beloved DC live action. And we're going to start with a positive headline about the Batman home release. This is by Matt Ville of Collider. Exclusive. The Batman's Blu-ray includes deleted scenes with more Joker, Penguin, and Catwoman. The home release of Matt Reeves' film includes an additional scene at the 44 Below Club. Hashling, me. Really? Live? Yes, I'm really actually live, and I'm actually really here. Just for you lot. Right, so I'm going to be here every day doing the Movies TV Mad Daily Live, updating you with everything in entertainment that I think's relevant. Running Dodge. Oh, more of Barry's Joker. Cool, absolutely. The digital 4K UHD Blu-ray and DVD release dates for Matt Reeves' critically acclaimed film The Batman have been announced, and one of the best aspects of these releases is seeing the special features included. Full list of special features includes deleted scenes with director's commentary, and Collider exclusively learned that the home video release of the film will include 2 deleted scenes, one that was previously released featuring the Joker, and one that focuses on Catwoman and the Penguin that is 1.5 minutes long. Wow. The deleted scene in question sees Selena Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz, meeting Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin Colin Farrell, at the 44 Below Club, the secret club within the Iceberg Lounge operated by the Penguin. While we don't know what was discussed in the deleted scene, it's fair to say that Kyle and Cobblepot don't get along like their 1992 incarnations for Batman Returns, played by Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito, respectively, since Kyle is looking for her missing roommate who once worked at the club. Yes, Hashling, me. I won't be reading that out. Right. Ronnie Dodge. Oh, no, we've already read that one. Ronnie Dodge. Oh, it's the Joker scene we have already seen, but we're also, as I've just read, getting a Selena Kyle Catwoman and Colin Farrell's Penguin scene, Oswald Cobblepot. So I think that's really exciting, Ronnie. It's not just about the Joker, of course. In the Batman, Selena does go to the 44 Below Club as an undercover asset for Batman, coming face to face with the likes of John Turturro's Carmine Falcone in the scene that made the film. Kyle doesn't meet with Penguin, but the deleted scene could change that. Even if the scene didn't make the final cut, it has already been announced that more content focusing on the Penguin is in development, as the iconic villain is set to get his own spin-off series courtesy of HBO Max. Ronnie Dodge, I know, can't wait for the Selena and Penguin scene. Neither can I. The other deleted scene included in the special features is a scene that fans have likely already become familiar with, as it is the 5-minute scene between Batman and the Joker, Barry Keoghan, in Arkham Asylum that was released back in late March. The Clown Prince of Crime is visited by Batman with clues left by the Riddler in order to get the perspective from a madman about a madman. As it is now, Joker only makes a cameo appearance in the film's ending at Arkham Asylum. This will not be the last time that we see the infamous institution from this version of Gotham. Just like Cobblepot, HBO Max and Reeves are already working on a spin-off series focusing on the famed asylum and its inhabitants. The Batman saw Robert Pattinson don the cape and cowl for the first time as a Batman just over a year into his journey as the Caped Crusader, meaning that he's still learning a lot about the world and himself. The story follows Batman as he attempts to track down the Riddler Paul Dano, a serial killer that has begun to target the elite of Gotham City. He must solve his puzzles to catch him and save the city of Gotham and its citizens. The film also starred Jeffrey Wright, Andy Serkis, Peter Sarsgaard, and James Lawson. The film was loved by both audiences and critics, as well as being highly successful, making over $700 million at the global box office. The Batman will see its digital release on April the 18th, while its 4K UHD Blu-ray and DVD release date is to be May the 24th. The Batman will also be available on HBO Max streaming service starting on April the 19th, and we can also rent it all over the world, April the 19th. I'm going to watch it and do a rewatch review here live on Movies TV Mad, so very, very exciting. Ronnie Dodge, apparently Colin said that the Penguin series is like Scarface. Yes, I'm very, very excited about that. At least we've got one DC franchise doing things the right way. Of course you're going to take me away from my articles. You would do, wouldn't you? Right. It's back to the dreaded dceu and its negativity. The Flash will reportedly reveal Superman's status. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right. Sorry about that. These sites ask a billion questions before you have existence and establish a different timeline, but will be part of the new dceu. Though nothing has been confirmed one way or the other, and likely won't be until we see the movie for ourselves, The Flash is expected to retcon certain elements of the original DCEU, Snyderverse, and take influence from the Flashpoint comic book arc to establish a completely new timeline. The likes of The Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman will reportedly remain as they were, although Ezra Miller's recent troubles could well result in a recast down the line, with Michael Keaton taking over as Batman. But what about the Man of Steel? In a since-deleted tweet, Scooper viewer Anon claims that The Flash will include a post-credit scene that makes it very clear that Superman does not exist in the new timeline. Right, I'm just going to say something. He's lying. I'll explain why. No context is provided, but we've heard the sequence involves Barry Allen mentioning Superman to Aquaman and the latter having no clue who he's referring to. Again, when I first heard about these leaks, there was no reference to Aquaman not knowing what he was talking about, but he did look confused, aka probably because there is a Superman, but it's not Henry Cavill's. If accurate, this obviously confirms that Henry Cavill will not be reprising his role as Supes anytime soon, with that prevailing theory being that Sasha Calle's Supergirl will take Man of Steel's place moving forward. It'd be a shame if Cavill never returned as Superman, but the nature of the DC multiverse means the door is always open. What do you guys make of this report, blah, blah, blah? Well, we're going to discuss it, and this is my frustration about this franchise. It's quite simple, everyone. This is why I'm asking you, should we delete the DCEU? They had a Superman. It's clear they're not bringing him back. Ronnie Dodd just looked. Ten Hag contract is 3 years with an extra year if he wants it, according to Sky Sports. John, what are your thoughts on the Ezra Miller restraining order being dropped? We will talk about it, John. I will read an article about it any minute now, by the way. I think it's actually irrelevant. I think people are getting their champagne glasses out a bit too soon. Ronnie Dodge, yeah, we see Barry's shock on his face as someone is standing next to Kara, a.k.a. a brand new Superman, obviously. Right, so let's get into this, right? So it's obvious that Henry Cavill probably, maybe, will not be in the Flash movie. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe everything's all right and it's going to be a lovely surprise. But it's unlikely. It looks like he won't be part of the new timeline. So there's two things going on here. Either they are building towards a final crisis situation when everyone within DC live action, past, present, and future, unites against Darkseid and his minions, and Henry will return for that storyline. Or they've just deleted him because they don't get on with him, and that's that. So no clarity, of course, because there can't be clarity because that will be a spoiler. But they're not even coming out and denying these leaks, denying these rumors. And as I said earlier, how can you be allowing this film to be leaked in its entirety like this? It's not fair on Henry Cavill Superman fans like me and you, lots of you out there. This is not the way you run a franchise. But my theory is that there is a brand new Superman. You can't replace Kara Zor-El's Supergirl with Superman. She's a character in her own right. She can't replace Superman. It makes no sense. And this is why I keep on saying that maybe this franchise just can't be fixed. And maybe we should just start again and leave this franchise alone. Abraham Herrera. Good morning, my beautiful DC brothers and sisters. Good morning, Abraham Herrera. So that's that clusterfuck about the current DCEU. And now we go to an even worse clusterfuck, Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller, Hawaii couple drop restraining order against the Flash star. That's convenient. Something tells me they're probably a lot richer this morning. Or shaking a little bit harder. That's super. This multiverse reboot might just make things worse. Well, they have to get to there first. They have to actually release their movies, if they actually allow us ever to watch these movies. The restraining order that was put against the Flash star Ezra Miller has been dropped by the Hawaii couple that the actor had gone after, by Andy, whose surname I can't pronounce, of Scream Ram. Weeks after a Hawaii couple put a restraining order against the Flash star Ezra Miller, it has now been dropped. One of the DCEU's lead actors has been Miller, who landed the role of Barry Allen in October 2014 as part of the original slate of heroes to join Warner Brothers Cinematic Universe. Despite having been the Scarlet Speedster for almost 8 years, Miller has appeared as the Flash in other DC properties before starring in their own film that didn't start filming until last year. These last couple of weeks have been a 29-year-old actor in several scandals. Have seen a 29-year-old actor in several scandals. On Sunday, March 27th, it began when Hawaii police had the actor arrested following a couple of incidents at a local bar in Hilo. According to the police reports, Miller got taken in for disorderly conduct and harassment, which included yelling obscenities before getting agitated when other people at the bar started singing karaoke. While Miller was released after posting bail, the actor was hit with a restraining order by a Hawaii couple. However, almost 3 weeks after a Hawaii judge approved the restraining order, things have now changed for the Flash actor. In a new report by Valista Daily Times, the unnamed Hawaii couple has chosen to drop the restraining order against Miller. Official court documents revealed a judge had dismissed the case at the couple's request. Their lawyer, William Dean, has yet to comment on why the couple had decided to no longer take Miller to court. Oh, I think we all know why. Oh, Hollywood's very corrupt, isn't it? And funny. While the temporary restraining order was to prevent the actor from pursuing further harassment against them, a hearing had been initially set for this Wednesday. Still, it's unclear if it will happen anymore. Nope. Even though this restraining order has been dismissed, a hearing for Miller's arrest is still scheduled to take place on April the 26th, while Miller nor their representatives have yet to respond. Of course not. It follows right after a report about the actor's future as the Flash. Late last week, an emergency meeting had taken place at Warner Brothers and DC Films as they were trying to decide about Miller's DCE future. However, it didn't take long before Warner Brothers reached out to the press to rebuke the original story, categorizing the claims as an exaggeration. He only slightly attacked the couple. He was only slightly shouting obscenities. He was only slightly arrested. He only slightly broke into their home and shouted at them and threatened them. It's all an exaggeration, everyone. Everyone else has gone mad and Ezra Miller is sane. It's currently very unclear what will happen with Miller and their attachment to the DCEU properties. The studio may not have had any meetings yet about the actor's future in their films, but it could happen depending on what goes down for Miller. Legally, it remains to be seen if the Hawaii couple will stay silent or eventually make public statements about what led them to drop the restraining order against Miller. Yeah, you'll never hear from them again. Before the scandals, the Flash movie had already been delayed from November 22nd to June 2023. DC Comics also confirmed the Flash prequel comic that was set to arrive later this month is being pushed back until October. As legal hearings begin to occur, time will tell what actions will follow the Flash star. Again, another fucking unadulterated mess. And they don't know what to do. So it doesn't, right, John, you asked me because I think you probably think this changes something. It doesn't, right? And let me just cue up my next article. And then we'll go on to the next DCEU clusterfuck, which is Walter Hamada. But anyway, right, this makes no difference that they dropped the restraining order. It is irrelevant. My friends, the damage has already been done. We've seen why he was arrested. We have heard the couple's home and threatened the man, called the man's wife a horrible name. Now, I don't know the facts of the case, but that's what the public are hearing. So the public are not going to support the Flash movie, certain elements of it. This is highly damaging. And these things are not going to go away. Just like the Amber Heard situation is not going to go away. As a studio, you must make tough, ruthless decisions sometimes. Now, if this is why they've delayed the movie, and it probably is, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes. Something has to happen here. Are we ever going to see the Flash movie? Is the delay date an actual date, or is it just sitting there because it's as far away as possible and they don't have to deal with it right now? Is there ever going to be any marketing for Black Adam, their so-called next movie, or will that film be delayed again? What about Shazam! Fury of the Gods? Are they seriously going to release that on the same date as Avatar 2? I doubt it. In fact, it being there proves that they have no plans to actually release these movies when they say they are. They're going to swap everything around again. This is an utter mess, everyone. I love DC live action. I was so excited when Man of Steel was announced that it was going to herald a new era of a DC live action franchise. But what's happened since is devastating and heartbreaking for everyone who loves DC. Now we go on. DC Films boss reportedly testifies against Aquaman star Amber Heard. Walter Hamada has testified against Amber Heard. The ongoing situation between Aquaman star Amber Heard and her ex-husband Johnny Depp has been unraveling for nearly half a decade. Just 13 months after the two were married in April 2015, Heard filed for a divorce and obtained a temporary restraining order against Depp. Heard alleged that Depp had been both verbally and physically abusive to her throughout their marriage, while Depp claimed that the allegations were due to Heard receiving negative media attention following the divorce filing. Do you know what's funny? This guy's just said that this has been going on over a decade. These two people have been wasting their fucking lives going at each other for over a decade, damaging each other's reputation. Instead of saying, we both need counselling, let's move on, love you, babe, they're dragging this out, and they're dragging each other through the mud. It proves that these celebrities are as thick as shit. Abraham Herrera, maybe we will wake up tomorrow and find out it was all a dream and the DCEU is doing just fine. You mean like in Dallas when Bobby came back from the dead and basically that destroyed Dallas forever? No, there's no dreaming here, my friend, I'm afraid. Flash forward to June 2018 and Depp himself filed a libel case against The Sun for publishing an article that labelled him as a wife beater. Shortly following this article, Depp announced that he had been asked to resign from his role as Grindelwald from the Fantastic Beasts franchise. Depp would lose that libel case despite cries for Warner Brothers to recast Heard's role of Mera for Aquaman 2. The studio brought her back for the sequel. Depp then motioned to bring Heard to court once again in early 2019, suing his ex-wife for defamation following her Washington Post op-ed about her history of abusive relationships. Depp claimed that Heard, not him, was a perpetrator, and the constant allegations were an elaborate hoax to generate positive publicity for Heard. This month, the case has been brought to trial in Fairfax County, Virginia. DC Films president testifies against Amber Heard. I mean, it just gets worse, right? At least if they removed her and he had to testify, it wouldn't be so awkward. According to a report from Puck News, president of DC Films Walter Hamada was present for a 3-hour deposition to testify on the subject of Heard's presence in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. While Heard was ultimately brought back for the March 2023 release, her option was initially declined. Well. As heard in Hamada's testimony, the initial decline was due to chemistry concerns with the leading man. Well, Walter, your name's on the credits of the original film. Why wasn't there an issue with chemistry in the first film? There actually was. Their chemistry, Jason and Amber's chemistry is pretty shit, but they just about get away with it. Why did you actually allow the casting to happen? Considering Aquaman was your first movie, and you do have a credit on that movie. Concerns with leading man Jason Momoa, issues between Momoa and Heard have been publicly referenced in the past. Well, that's interesting. Despite being brought back, Heard accused Warner Brothers in her 2018 op-ed of reluctantly bringing her back for the sequel due to the ongoing Depp scandal. You see, she blackmailed them publicly, so they felt they had no choice but to bring her back because the entertainment industry is all about optics and being seen to be supporting women and minorities. This is what she said in the op-ed article. Friends and advisors told me I would never work again as an actress. that I would be blacklisted. The movie I was attached to recast my role. I had just shot a 2-year campaign as the face of a global fashion brand, and the company dropped me. Questions arose as to whether I would be able to keep my role of Mira in the movies Justice League and Aquaman. Her case continued as she claims she has been the victim of direct financial consequence and has been unable to book additional lucrative roles or endorsements due to the debt situation. Heard's current counterclaim to Team Debt is seeking as much as $100 million because she hasn't got enough already, or he hasn't got enough already, right? DCEU casting woes continue. Unfortunately for the DC Extended Universe's 2023 releases, this is not the only actively controversial actor they have in a leading role. The Flash star Ezra Miller was arrested on harassment charges last month and was given a temporary restraining order from the couple that he threatened. This led to Warner discussion options for the future of that 2023 release. Aside from an ensemble role in 2019's Gullies, Heard's only film credits since 2018 have been in the DCEU as Mira, because they're the only ones dumb enough to cast her. Considering this role roots her in a franchise, Heard's insistence on not being recast is likely due to the Aquaman franchise being her only guaranteed work at the moment. There's no word on what will come of Arthur Curry and company following The Lost Kingdom. The sequel to 2018's billion-dollar hit was greenlit just 2 months after Aquaman hit theaters, meaning plans for the prequel are conductive on Aquaman's box office. The direct will provide updates as this trial progresses. What an absolute clusterfuck. And you're wondering why I'm suggesting that this franchise should be deleted. Everyone, what are they going to do? The public persona of this franchise is an absolute mess. No one has faith in it. Only a few of us are still talking about it. This is not good enough, right? David Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery, you have to fix this mess. No matter how impossible it is, something has to be done. So, have we got any This Is Us fans? As we move away from the clusterfuck that is DC live action, we're going to bring you some other entertainment updates. So, if you're a fan of This Is Us, you'll know that it's coming up to its 100th episode. This Is Us at 100 episodes, epic plot twists, a clash over the title, and simplicity of the ending. Oh, it looks like I have got some internet problems. Sorry about that. This is what happens when you go live. Mysteries remain after the milestone Cato Boy hour, but the hit family drama is settling back into its emotional roots as it eyes the end. Creator Dan Fogelman and his nostalgic ensemble told The Hollywood Reporter by Jackie Strauss of The Hollywood Reporter. In the fall of 2016, something miraculous happened to Dan Fogelman. The This Is Us creator was flying to visit his family for Thanksgiving, and the show's latest episode was playing on every seat back screen of the plane. It was on DirecTV, he says, of the live broadcast of their first Thanksgiving episode. There were pictures online of people row after row watching. I remember thinking, wow, this is getting out of control. There were early signs This Is Us would become a water cooler hit, and that the NBC family drama starring Mandy Moore and Milo Ventimiglia and Justin Hartley, of Green Arrow fame, of course, would make Tuesday nights spent with the Pearson family appointment TV, whether on your couch or 35,000 feet in the air. Bring your own tissues for the network. The first tip off was when the trailer broke, viewing records, and became a viral sensation. Then came the audience's feverish reaction to the time-jumping pilot and the second episode twist that Rebecca Moore had remarried, prompting the "what happened to Jack" question that would loom over the show and Ventimiglia's fate for 2 seasons. The principal cast of the reigning #1 broadcast hit, still in the middle of production on its final season, gathered with Fogelman on Zoom in March to celebrate the 100th episode of Catboy, airing April the 12th. And reflect on the drama's historic run as they prepare to say goodbye. And for them, the moment they first felt a spark is a quieter memory. After their first table read, we all congregated on the side in a little kitchen, and it felt immediately comfortable, says Ventimiglia, who recalls thinking 6 seasons ago, we're going to have an experience on this one. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to battle. We're going to support each other. We're going to do all the things. Of course, Milo Ventimiglia played Rocky Balboa's son, Rocky Jr. in Rocky Balboa, and he was also Peter Petrelli. No, not Peter Petrelli, the other Petrelli in the Awesome Heroes series, although the Awesome first series, the rest wasn't very good, unfortunately. Dan, what was your elevator pitch? Dan Fogelman, I didn't have one. I wrote the script and was sending it to people, and the main question I got was, well, what happens now? At the end of the pilot, everything was upended. And so the elevator pitch then became this very complicated one that I would be long-winded about what would happen in the course of the series. Sterling K. Brown, the original conception was a flick, right? Fogelman, yes, it had 6 or 7 people born on the same day, and then the twist at the end was going to be that they were all related to the Jack and Rebecca characters. But 80 pages in, I was like, I don't think this holds. So I gave it up and put it away for a while. Christina's in on us. It is Christina, I know. Hello, Christina. That's my niece, by the way. Love you, baby. The show was originally titled 36, How Big Was the Debate over the name? Fogelman, there were a lot of titles. I named it 36 because I didn't want it to be untitled. Then I hated it. It had been the source of huge frustration for me over early parts of my career, where I would not be able to choose a title, and so we would make these films with untitled Fogelman projects, signs all over town. Once you don't have a title for something, you're screwed, because no one is ever going to agree after the fact. I started really fighting for This Is Us once we started making it. How did you come up with This Is Us? Fogelman, I like this. I liked This Is Us lyrically, and I knew the show would hopefully be a reflection of a lot of different people and a lot of different lives. There was a huge moment at one point to name the show Happy Birthday, which we all banded against. Milo Ventimiglia, Jack Pearson, we had a photo shoot at Universal, and I remember there was a birthday cake, and Dan said to me, they're going to try to take a promotional photograph of you with this cake. When we were all together and they had the cake, I was just like, no, absolutely not. All of us were like, we're not doing that. Fogelman, on my previous shows, they would make you do goofy poses, and then you show up front, and that's the picture on every piece of the show. Ventimiglia, or you're doing karate poses with your shirt off when you're 18 for Gilmore Girls. Fogelman, the network and studio were fantastic to us throughout, but this title was a weird opening. The pilot opens with a paragraph about how many people share a birthday, and I made sure the words, this is us, this is and us, were in that text, so it would shrink down into what became our logo. I figured if people liked the pilot, they would start getting their heads around the title, which is pretty much what happened. But late in the game, somebody came to me with research that showed this title, it's all just getting started, had tested much higher, and I had to do a whole, guys, I'm sorry, I just don't understand how that's the title of the show, but we held firm and got through it. Chris Sullivan, Toby Sullivan, that person doesn't work in television anymore. Fogelman, no they do, laughs. Who has a great audition story? Was there anyone who said, if I don't get this part, this will be the end of acting for me? Chrissy Metz, Kate Pearson. Well, I didn't really have an acting career, so it was really going to start my career. I was a talent agent when I got the call from a friend who asked if I wanted to audition for this Dan Fogelman project. As a series lead, I had like 3 guest roles and an arc on American Horror Story. I had an awful audition. I felt it was terrible. I laughed and cried all the way home. But they then called me back to test. I remember seeing Justin Hartley and thinking, I don't look anything like him. They're not going to hire me. Fogelman, do you guys remember back when I was less humane auditioning for pilots and you had to read in person for the executives and you'd be in a waiting room with the other actors? Now it's all done on tape. That had started right around This Is Us. But because Chrissy was kind of new and because the network had an early on targeted Kate as a big breakout role, she read old school style. Then she read with Justin. I said, that's our girl. And I knew Chrissy had it. And then I called you in the parking lot and you couldn't hear. Mackenzie was the other girl's name. All I could hear was E. Also, I thought, oh God, does he think he's calling Mackenzie? It was so incredible and life-changing. And I remember Glenn Ficarra, who directed the pilot with John Ricu, calling me and saying, by the way, you can be in your underwear in the pilot. I was like, what? Sure? Ventimiglia, at least you got an article of clothing. My first day on set, I walked into the trailer and saw a bunch of flesh-coloured pieces of cloth in different sizes. I guess I'll pick one of these. Mets, if I had a tush like yours, I would be like, I'm not wearing drawers. Milo, that was for your first scene in the pilot with Mandy, the two of you in the nude flashback, and Chrissy when you stepped on scale in the pilot. Mets, it was the second shot I think that we ever did. There was a boom guy in the bathtub who said, are you ready to take off the top? People said I was so brave, and I'm like, you know what? It's going to change a lot of people's lives, and yeah, I'm going to be brave. Sullivan, breakout role. Brown, I was doing the People versus O.J. Simpson, and they called me in to have a meeting. I remember reading the pilot at the attorney's table, sitting next to O.J. Co-star Sarah Paulson and I said, this is the best network project I've ever read. Anytime you get a father-son type thing for your boy, you lost his dad when he was 10, it just cracks it open. Susan Kelsey Watson, Beth Pearson, I did a normal audition with a reader. I just bombed a play audition, so I was suffering from embarrassment, and I saw amazing actresses in that room. Then they called me and said, do you want to send your tape, or do you want to go out to California and read opposite Sterling? You have to get on a plane in the next 7 hours. Brown, I didn't know you had the choice. Watson, I was in New York and I wasn't sure. They said, well, what do you think of the script? And I was like, did you all send me the script? So they sent it to me, and by the time I got to the end, we find out that the kids are actually Mandy and Milo. So I said, what time is the plane? I have to be in this room. Brown being black in the business, we all kind of know each other. There were 3 women auditioning. Everybody was so good. In hindsight, it couldn't have been anybody other than Sue. The magic we've been able to capture over the last 6 years is undeniable. Best TV wife I've ever had. Don't get offended, other TV wives. Fogelman, after we cast Chrissy, she read with like 14 guys because we really wanted that right match. And then at the last minute, Sully became available. Chrissy was like, which of the guys did you pick? And I was like, you'll meet him at the table read. Mets, it couldn't have been anybody else, that's for sure. Ventimiglia, after the table read, I remember feeling grateful in the process of casting Jack and Rebecca. I read with a couple of different girls, and I remember Mandy Moore walking in. We had just met, and here I'm about to be nuzzled into this stranger's neck and play this dynamic married couple scene. I remember asking, is it okay? I'm in your neck. Mandy Moore, Rebecca Pearson. He was so gentlemanly. I'm like, yes, handsome stranger. Get on in there. Ventimiglia, then when it was done, she got up and said, okay, thanks a lot. And she just bailed. More. I hate auditions. I was so nervous. I auditioned early on in the process, and I remember hearing they liked you, but they're going to read women in New York, in Chicago. I sort of forgot about it, and 6 weeks later, I got word that they wanted to bring me in for a chemistry read. I remember Milo was the guy to beat. They loved Milo. Then I went in and read with him and thought it was either a good thing or a terrible thing that they only had me read with this one gentleman. I beelined out of there. Ventimiglia, I remember turning and looking at John and Glenn, who are smiling, and it's like Christmas morning for Dan. It was meant to be. Fogelman, there were 2 parts that were pretty underwritten in the pilot. Rebecca and Beth were much smaller in terms of screen time and amount of dialogue. Rebecca has that opening scene, and then she's in labour for a lot of the first episode. I knew how big the part of Rebecca was going to be, but there was one woman who was coming off a show who said, I won't read. I want to hear what your plan is for the character. I had this whole meeting with her and said, it's going to be gigantic. It's going to be like the whole thing. And she said, no, I'm not interested. Now, it's 6 years later, and Mandy is playing like 17 different ages and getting 16-hour monologues. And I think about that person who wouldn't read. At your recent 100th episode celebration, 20th TV president Carrie Burke said, This is Us became the gold standard for drama anywhere. Lisa Katz, president of scripted for NBC Universal, called it a unicorn as the #1 broadcast drama 6 years running. Do any of you remember the moment it felt like lightning struck? Fogelman. The trailer blew up, and I remember getting that information. I remember, obviously, the night of the pilot airing, and then the second episode had the biggest twist with Rebecca being married to Miguel, John Huartas. At the end, personally, I was dealing with just chaos, and so I was not very present emotionally. But it was around episode 8 of the first season that it had cut through the culture and landed in such a major way. It was Thanksgiving. Milo was doing the push-ups. I remember going to visit my family. I flew on a Tuesday, and it was on every screen on the aeroplane. Brown. I had several instances of people saying to me, I don't watch anything live, especially network television, but my family and I get together every Tuesday night, and we watch this show. My cousin, who is a plus-size adopted woman, after episode 4, which is to Paul, she said, Sterling, I know the whole OJ thing was a big deal, but let me tell you about This Is Us. She said, I'm Kevin, I am Randall, I am Kate. This show sees all of who I am. And then Fogelman writes the 5th episode, and after I read Kevin's painting monologue, I was like, this is the captain I will go anywhere for. Fogelman, that was a big one for us. I think the show hit a different gear. Myself and our writers felt like, all right, we can really do stuff now. Brown, I also think that was our last table read. We did 5 table reads. Justin Hartley played Green Arrow on Smallville. This was a huge break for him. This show is groundbreaking, and it shows that network television still leads in quality television over streaming, in my opinion. Justin Hartley, Kevin Pearson, we will tell you, us performers, that you're as good as the dialogue. Oftentimes not even. There is not a better written show, and to sustain that for 6 years is a testament to when people ask why it's ending, because nothing has slowed down, it's rammed up, and you savor every single moment because you don't know if you'll ever have this opportunity again. So thank you, Dan. Well, I'm going to cry. I also remember life changing for me when people start asking for money. I imagine that kind of reception helps you to say, okay, we can do whatever we want. Was there anything you had to fight for, a big risk or swing with the network that paid off? Fogelman, to their credit, they really supported everything we wanted to do. All the people here were my first choice. I never had to fight for them. And when they talk about those early days of the table read, you realize, wow, so many things break right for this thing to go right. It becomes a combination of really good small decisions and that everybody makes. I do remember when Milo told me he was going to have a moustache. Ventimiglia, Dan went through the office asking, do you like him with it or do you not? In a more explicit term, Fogelman, I asked, would you fuck this man with a moustache? Oh my God, that's hilarious. Ventimiglia, Dan went through the office asking, do you like him in it or do you not? In a more explicit term. Yeah, and then I asked, would you fuck this man in a moustache? Ventimiglia sporting Jack's moustache. It was a split 50-50, right? I was not very encouraging, but it was 80s. I remember the second episode script read. Jack walks into the kitchen as Rebecca packs the kids' lunch. 8 years have gone by and he's clean shaven. I told Dan that if you shave my face clean, I'm not going to look 8 years older. So I fought for the moustache and I think it's worked out okay. Fogelman, it worked with this show. There is a little bit of that. Oh, it's network TV mentality. But we jumped 8 years from the pilot in the second episode. Ron Surface Jones became this beloved character. We killed him in the first season. Jack was the patriarch of the family. We killed him in the second season. Those were all big choices. To your question, we never really had to fight for it. I think the only place I really put my foot down was in the second season when they wanted to move us off the time slot. I kind of went to war. I was like, just leave the show alone. We finally have something, and we won the battle. Wow, well done, Dan. When did all of you get clued into Dan's 6-season plan? Brown, Dan said it from the beginning. He said, I think I've got to like 6 years of story. Watson, I thought he said 5. Ventimiglia, 5 years. Hartley, I thought it was 5. Watson, and the studio wanted the 6th. Fogelman, I was actually contemplating 4 at the very beginning, probably before we even talked about it. I was thinking about when Jack was going to die, and I knew we were going to run out of a real estate with the kids' age. But then when the show blew up, I was like, I have 6 in me, but that will be the max. And we got picked up that way. We were doing a TCA event, and the president of NBC, Jennifer Solkai, came over and told us she was picking up the show for 2 seasons. I remember it vividly because the day before, Ron had shot his death scene, And even we got picked up for another 3 because that was a whole complicated thing. And I said, that will take us to the end. Dan has spoken about the early narrative of the show being about the twists and turns, like the mystery over Jack's death, but now it's back to its emotional roots, about the little things of growing older and looking back. The big 3 trilogy of episodes that led into the 100th Kenobi illustrates many different types of families. How would you say the show is getting back to its heart? Mex, I think it's a blueprint for life. How do we deal with life on life's terms? And Dan and all of the writers do it so beautifully. They do, because none of us knows how. We're just in the present moment trying to figure out the next moment when it comes. And that could be through divorce and paternity issues, weight issues and social injustice. Everything that's current and present and important. Sullivan, I think one reason our show has connected with so many is because, especially in this country, we've had the wrong conception of what the typical family is. Our show has gotten so specific that if you wrote out this family, you'd think this doesn't apply to anyone. But the audience says, this is us. I cannot believe we are on screen right now. That's the magic. That's been revealed to me over 6 seasons. In this scrape specifically, we've managed to reach the broadcast numbers of people. Someone shared with me that they watch football with their father's ashes. Ventimiglia, specific and also incredibly simple. Mandy and I just shot a scene where we are sitting on a couch. The only reminder I need about the importance of the show is to look Mandy in the eyes and deliver a scene about this married couple who has had their struggles and who has had their glory. And it's incredibly simple. Fogelman, those early twists and turns and things that would get people talking was the stuff you do to keep a show titillating and give it propulsion in this day and age. And it was a little bit of the magic of the storytelling. And now this final season, we're able to sit a little more linearly in the other stuff because we're heading to those places we've teased all through the years. And the way we're going to tell the story this year, the answers that people are waiting for will all be had by the end of that. We can sit in the simplicity when we finally finish. Brown, Cato Boy is fucking nuts. And in the big 3 episodes before that, which were directed masterfully by Milo and Mandy and Justin, you get a chance to see these young people getting older and coming into their own. Kevin as a dad and that whole journey of not wanting kids or responsibility, then stepping into it and owning it. And then Kate and Toby with the complexities of what love should look like. And even if something doesn't work out, love can still be present. And then Randall being this person who holds things together, having to redefine what his purpose is now. His brother and sister are grown up and capable. It's about growing into place where you can say, I don't have to carry it all and things won't fall apart. Watson, when you meet people at a certain moment in life and you can make a snap judgment, and this show has always been an example of not doing that. One of the greatest examples of when Miguel showed up with Rebecca, there's more to be explored. There's more to understand. If people can take away from the show that people are not the sum total of one moment, but that's their breadth to who they are and how they got there. I think that's really amazing, and things that exploration through the minute and nuance of life has filled this series from the beginning, and I'm sure Dan and the writers' room will continue to stay faithful to that until the series finale. Dan, you recently said you're seeing this group do things you've never done when filming the final episodes. Can you elaborate? Fogelman, the characters are becoming fully realized. Chrissy and Sully are going to a place their characters have simply never gone. I'm doing these 2 episodes right now where Mandy and Milo are so funny. We have lived in the heaviness of Jack's death, and it's returning to that first season where it was just nice to be that home and with that couple. Justin's character coming of age in his 40s is finally happening. And it's so rewarding to watch. And there's this episode with Sterling and Mandy that is just insanely moving. I will really miss writing for these guys. It won't happen again in my career. And I'm kind of acknowledging and accepting that. Gabriel's in on us. Hello from Den, Sam and Gabriel. Hi, boys. These lads are my nephews as well, by the way. Hello. Ventimiglia. This show is not just impacting one particular person or group or age. It's impacting everybody. So I agree that it's going to be very hard to capture again. If you're repeating it, then you're just trying to be This Is Us. And there's only one This Is Us. I agree. Watson, my niece and nephew are in elementary school, and they said the kids get together and have a table every Wednesday where they discuss This Is Us. You think this show would be a certain demographic, and then you find out there are kids in elementary school who are having their little water cooler moment. What do you hope This Is Us legacy will be, and what is a piece of advice you would give yourself 100 episodes ago? Ventimiglia, what this show has created is conversation among very different people who find themselves incredibly similar. I hope that continues where we looking at people across from us, not fully realizing the whole picture and trying to bridge that gap. Sullivan, when people enter my life, they already have a story. And when they leave my life, their story will continue. And for this period of time, I get to be a part of that. And that's an honor. I wish I had known that earlier in my life. And I hope that's what people take away from the show. Fogelman, I believe the show will remain timeless. It's what makes me feel okay. But doing 6 seasons and ending it, it will live on, whatever platforms television shows live on. And I believe that young men and women which watch the show in their teens and early 20s will maybe one day watch it with their kids when their kids get old enough. And I think the legacy of the show will hopefully be that. More, I feel like I'm still fully digesting Rebecca's story, but I hope that people continue to find catharsis and an emotional outlet. Met 6 years ago, we didn't see plus size or fat people on network television, and now you see them all over the place. I want to cry again. It's not even about that part of the story anymore. People just get to tell their stories, and they happen to be different body shape. Dan was so instrumental. Even have a person like me size on TV. It's such a big deal. That is a legacy of moving forward in progressive time. It's a new way of making art of people who want to see themselves. I knew I was going to cry. Although we did have Hartley on Lost. That's important. And he was a big lad, and we all loved him as well. So that's important that we're getting these representations, because this show is actually a show that's actually done representation and inclusion properly. This is really like the UK soaps we have, Corrie, Coronation Street, EastEnders, Emmerdale, where they represent real people and real situations. And you sit there every evening after your dinner and you see the continuing saga. But this guy, Fogelman, kicked it into gear, jumping from this time to that time. It really is an amazing show. Brown, Dan said something earlier in the season about how time moves, and he wrote something recently about the speed at which things go, and really doing your best to be in the moment and enjoy each and every bit of it. And I think I have for the most part, but you can probably always do it a little bit more, because you'll be upset or frustrated little things. But if you say this is the only moment that will exist right now, makes the most of that shit. That's part of legacy and part of what I would tell myself. Justin Hartley, I think it's very cool that we have been part of a show that shows how, whether you are in grade school or in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, it's never too late to find yourself. Hopefully when people watch 10 years from now, the heart and spirit of what we do and why we're here won't change at all. I think that we'll always be part of This Is Us, and whether you watch it now or in 2040, it's timeless. Couldn't agree more. And that's finally the end of the article if you were getting bored. But I'm a big fan of this show. And it just proves that network television can still aspire to be better than streaming. Because here are the facts. We both know it. The great shows of network television going back 50 years have never been bettered on streaming. Dallas, Dynasty, Knots Landing, The A-Team, Knight Rider, 24, Lost, Prison Break, Alias, Smallville. Those shows have never, ever been bettered, because network TV is not a dying platform. It's a platform that can give you enriched, compelling television drama. And well done, Dan Fogelman and the whole of the This Is Us team. And I can't wait to see how the show finishes off. Now we talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi series reveals how Anakin defined the Master Jedi. Obi-Wan Kenobi writer J.B. Harold explains the Obi-Wan cannot help but be defined by his past and his history with Anakin Skywalker. By Noah Dominguez. Obi-Wan Kenobi writer J.B. Harold says the upcoming Disney Plus series deals heavily with the titular Jedi Master Ewan McGregor coming to terms with his past and how the quote-unquote death of Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen came to define who he is as a person. Obi-Wan is defined by his past to a pretty great degree, Harold told Entertainment Weekly. I mean, Obi-Wan and Anakin share so much screen time together. They're so close that everything that he's experienced and everything that happened with Anakin cannot help but define him. And we meet a man who's very much defined by that history, whether he wants to be or not. Harold continued, part of the journey of what he goes through is reconciling that past and coming to understand it and coming to understand his place in it. And that journey and the places he has to go emotionally as well as physically, and some of these battles he has to fight, are very much to do with facing that past and understanding who he was, his part in his own history, in the history of others. Obi-Wan's history with Anakin dates back to the original Star Wars film from 1977, when Obi-Wan Sir Alec Guinness, then going by the name Ben Kenobi, met Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill. He claimed that his former pupil, the villainous Darth Vader, David Prowse, James Earl Jones, had betrayed and murdered Luke's father. Towards the end of the film, Vader killed Obi-Wan. 1980s, The Empire Strikes Back then revealed that Darth Vader and Luke's father, Anakin Skywalker, were in fact one and the same. Obi-Wan's ghost ultimately explained his perspective on the situation in 1983's Return of the Jedi. This is just making me want to binge the entirety of Star Wars, even the Disney stuff. Getting excited again. Obi-Wan McGregor and Anakin Christensen's shared history was later explored at length in Star Wars prequel trilogy, which ran from 1999 to 2005's Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, showed exact circumstances of Anakin's transformation into Darth Vader. After Anakin turned to the dark side of the Force and the two battled on Mustafar, Obi-Wan served his former apprentice's limbs and severed his former apprentice's limbs and left him to burn in a river of lava. Anakin was rescued by the newly christened Emperor Palpatine, who put him in the Darth Vader suit. Evidently, this event still greatly haunts Obi-Wan by the events of his solo series. Obi-Wan Kenobi takes place roughly 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith and 9 years before the events of Star Wars. The film chronicles Obi-Wan's time watching over Luke on Tatooine, with the former Jedi Master also being forced to contend with the Inquisitors, Darth Vader's elite Jedi hunting force. It has long been unknown that the series would also feature a rematch between Obi-Wan and his former apprentice. Do you remember that line in A New Hope? There'll be no one to stop us this time. Remember that. So that's that. So yes, I'm very, very excited about the Obi-Wan series. Of course I'm scared. Of course I'm worried. Of course I'm anxious as a huge Star Wars fan. I don't want them to fuck this up. But just to have Hayden and Ewan on screen together and continue this saga that at least has a little bit of excitement going, and I'm starting to get all Star Wars-y and positive about Star Wars again, and that's good. Ultimately, I don't hate the sequel trilogy. It has major issues. I don't hate Daisy. I really liked Rey. I know people didn't like the fact that she didn't earn what she got. And, you know, you can be very angry about that, but you can't hate Daisy at the end of the day. Daisy's a lovely kid, lovely girl, great actress. I thought the mistake was JJ had a good hold on to it in the first movie. And I think if JJ wrote and directed the middle one, including as well as the last one, I think everything would have been all right on the night. And it's the middle film that was the problem. Not because Rian Johnson's a bad writer-director, because he was put in the middle of somebody else's vision. And you can never do that. And that's where the problems lie. We continue. So now we go back to our beloved Warner Brothers and another one of their tainted franchises. Fantastic Beasts 4, not greenlit yet, depends on Dumbledore box office. The fate of Fantastic Beasts 4 is not officially known, as Warner Brothers reportedly wants to see the secrets of Dumbledore's box office first. By Cooper Hood or Screenrant, Warner Brothers hasn't officially greenlit Fantastic Beasts 4 yet, as the studio is reportedly waiting to see how Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, performs at the box office. The Harry Potter prequel franchise began in 2016 with Eddie Redmayne, who's awesome, starring magizoologist Newt Scamander. No, sorry to say that again. Scamander. After a good response to the first film, Warner Brothers announced plans for 5 Fantastic Beasts movies. However, controversy has continued to surround the franchise behind the scenes, and a much poor reception for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald left its future up in the air. Over 3 films, the Fantastic Beasts franchise has noticeably transformed itself from a series focused on new, and this is a point I'll talk about after the article, other new characters and magical creatures, to a true Harry Potter prequel that is heavily timed to be known. Characters, despite Warner Brothers, hope that this would bring more love to the magical franchise. Crimes of Grindelwald landed harsh critical reviews and became the lowest grossing movie in the saga. WB repeatedly delayed and reworked the Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore due to COVID-19. That's not true. It wasn't COVID. But also in an attempt to course correct the beloved franchise and save future plans. Exactly. Now it appears that the studio is still being cautious with the franchise's future beyond Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. A report from Variety notes that Warner Brothers does not yet have a script for Fantastic Beasts 4. To be honest, they wouldn't do anyway at this stage, so that's bullshit. And the plans for 5 films are up in the air. Warner Brothers is reportedly waiting to see how Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore's box office performs before making any decisions. The movie has already made $58 million overseas, but it is projected to have the lowest opening weekend of the Fantastic Beasts franchise domestically. When they say domestically, they mean America, even though it's pretty much, Joe Rowling's British, most of the actors are British, but the money is American, right? That's why they mean domestically. But the 58 million in 22 countries, because it's got so many more countries to go, is actually pretty solid. I think it may end up okay, but let's see what happens at the end of this upcoming weekend. The future of the Fantastic Beasts franchise might be under even more scrutiny now based on recent events involving Warner Brothers and those connected to the franchise. The company just merged with Discovery, resulting in a change of leadership of WB Movie Studios. With new management and the controversy surrounding star Ezra Miller, here he goes again, popping up his head, moving forward with Fantastic Beasts 4 could be easier said than done. If the franchise's financials are the biggest factor in whether or not more sequels happen, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore will need to be among the biggest hits since COVID-19 began to potentially entice WB to make more. It is unclear what type of box office performance Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore needs for Warner Brothers to greenlight Fantastic Beasts 4. The second film was viewed as a disappointment after earning over $650 million worldwide. A similar performance for Secrets of Dumbledore would likely be viewed as a success. As only 4 Hollywood movies have crossed that threshold since the pandemic started. Unfortunately for Fantastic Beasts 4, the box office receipts for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore continue to trail the disappointing haul of The Crimes of Grindelwald ultimately. Time will tell if this is the end of Harry Potter prequel franchise. Right. They're counting 22 countries, 58 million as poor. It's not poor. Let's see what everything is when everything is counted. So this is an unfair and an accurate article about the finances so far of Fantastic Beasts and The Secrets of Dumbledore. I will get into this now. Let's get into this now. Right. Joe Rowling, when he decided to be all controversial, right? I love Joe. I think she's a genius. This was a woman, she was a part of a one-parent family. She was struggling to bring up her kid or kids or whatever. She sat there and wrote Harry Potter. It's a great original tale inspired by stuff like Star Wars, Narnia, Lord of the Rings, and she came up with something so original. Those books were awesome. Those movies were awesome because she understood what her shortcomings were. She's not a screenwriter. Yes, she held Warner Brothers to task. They wanted an American wizarding school. She said no, and that was right. She had good people around her from Warner Brothers as well. That was important. Erin was all right. I think what's happened with Jo now, she's had delusions of grandeur. She came up with this idea about doing this new story, right? She brings in Eddie. The first film's a huge success. Everybody loves it, right? Of course, it's a prequel. Harry's not there. People are complaining a little bit, but it's great. Then, as the article said, they moved away from Eddie's character Newt. Now, Eddie's a great lad. His enthusiasm for Potter's great. I think he'd make a great Doctor Who. And I think moving away from such a personality and a great character and saying, hey, this guy loves animals and he will do anything to protect his animals is a great story. But they moved away from that. And I think it may be half to do with the studio and half to do with Jo. But you see, there's other problems. Jo decided to be controversial about transgender opinions and political opinions. Now, I don't understand the nuance of what she's saying, so I'm not going to judge her. But it was ill-conceived to come out publicly and talk about these things. If you've got such a controversial opinion, right, and other people's careers rely on you, you can't be doing it, Jo. You know, I'm sure you've got a partner. Sound off with your partner about these things. You've said it once, Jo, publicly, but you keep on saying it again and again. You're loving the controversy. You're loving the attention. And to hell with the Harry Potter franchise. To hell, to hell to your fans. To hell with your fans and anyone else, right? You're coming on Twitter saying it's just bearded men hating on you when you know that's not true. So many biological women are not happy with you either. And you're kind of defending those biological women in your conversation. As I say, I don't know the nuance of what Jo's talking about, so I'm not going to say anything else but that. Then Paul Warner Brothers and everyone else has the Johnny Depp situation. Now the Ezra Miller situation. It goes on and on and on. But that's not the reason this franchise is failing. It's the creative problems from the middle movie. If they stuck with Ed and they stuck with Newt and focused with him in the second movie, and they went along the lines as they did it from the first movie, everything would have been all right, everyone. But here's another problem. I'm going to say something a little bit more controversial about this franchise. She should never pick this as a prequel. There's another fucking prequel kicking and screaming to be made, and it's more connected to Harry Potter. We should have seen Harry's parents. We should have seen all the teachers, maybe when they were at wizarding school. I'm saying what we should have done was a prequel about Snape, Harry Potter's parents, and all the adults from the original Harry Potter books and films going to the wizarding school as kids. That would have been fucking amazing. That would have been awesome. That was the prequel she should have done. But she went down this tangent and she's fucked it up because she can't admit her shortcomings. And this is why this franchise and this prequel is in big trouble. Prequels we've seen from Star Wars and a lot of things are a difficult thing to make. It's like when I saw The Phantom Menace for the first time in cinemas and some deadhead goes, they didn't even have a Han Solo type of character. People didn't get what George was trying to do. George did something amazing. He set up this arc, nuanced story about how democracy can be corrupted. And all the strands in the first movie and what it led to were absolutely sensational. But people just wanted to see, what they saw in the first trilogy. And that's a shame because the prequels were underappreciated. Now people are starting to realize, oh my God, George Lucas actually is a fucking genius, as he is. Scream's David Arquette shares first reaction to Dewey's death scene. Scream star David Arquette reveals the first reaction to reading Dewey's heartbreaking death scene after starring in the franchise for 25 years. By Ellie Clark of Scream Rant. David Arquette reveals his first reaction to reading Dewey's heartbreaking death scene in Scream. Earlier this year, audiences journeyed back to the town of Woodsboro for Scream as a new wave of terror tore through its residents. More than 25 years from the release of Wes Craven's Scream, in which horror fans were first introduced to Neve Campbell's now iconic final film, the new film saw Sidney Prescott once again go head-to-head with Ghostface, a merciless killer with a particular affection for knives. The 1996 Scream also featured the debuts of Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers, and Arquette's Dewey Riley. Scream 2022 was the fifth installment in the much-loved horror franchise, saw Campbell, Cox, and Arquette all return to reprise their legacy roles. The film also welcomed a whole host of fresh faces, including the likes of In the Heights' Melissa Barea and The Boys' Jack Quaid. Given the nature of Scream, it was largely speculated in the run-up to the film's release that one of the three legacy characters would likely not make it to the credits. And obviously, it had to be the white male, didn't it? So where are we? Speculate the run-up to the film's release that one of the three legacy characters would likely not make it to the credits. A prediction that proved to be accurate after Dewey was stabbed to death by Ghostface midway through the film. In a heart-wrenching moment of bravery and self-sacrifice, now Arquette has opened up about the very first time he read his character's tragic death scene. In conversation with Empire, Arquette revealed that prior to receiving the script, he had no idea that screen would see Dewey meet such a grisly end. The actor revealed that upon reading Dewey's fate, he had to walk around and kind of process it. Arquette went to say that he could see where the writers were coming from and understood the emotional impact, yeah, of course, David, of course, of Dewey's death on the audience, but that it definitely cut deep as the character had been part of his life for 25 years. Check out Arquette's full quote below. I haven't talked about it much. It's a very fresh wound. They had not given me a heads up, so I was like, mimes thumbing through the script. Wow, Dewey got some good stuff to play this time. And then, oh, that's why I had to put it down. I had to walk around and kind of process it. I understood where they were coming from as far as gutting their audience. It was hard. It's been such an ongoing film series throughout my life, 25 years of my life. So it definitely cuts deep. Arquette also offered some insight on what it was like when the day finally came to shoot his screen death scene, revealing that he had to get into a zen place to deal with the discomfort that comes with being soaked in fake blood all day long. Arquette then shared that upon wrapping the scene, he simply hopped in his car and drove home, washed all the blood off, and that was it. Arquette's co-star Cox recently revealed that she found Dewey's death in Scream 2022 particularly hard to process, sharing that she even spoke to the directors about including a scene at the end of the film which hinted at Dewey's survival, a request that was ultimately denied, of course, because he's a white male. They spend this film making fun of you and me, the movie fans, right? Because the customers are the bad ones and not the people in Hollywood. Always remember that. With Scream 6 now officially in its early stages, audiences are waiting to hear just who will return for this exciting follow-up. While Dewey's death was an emotional one, it certainly upped the stakes by making the so-called unlikable trio appear considerably less untouchable, while it's naturally highly unlikely Arquette won't be returning to Wait, can I just read that again? While Dewey's death was an emotional one, it certainly upped the stakes by making the so-called unkillable trio appear considerably less untouchable. No, they killed off a white male. They didn't kill off the women, did they? Because you're not allowed to kill women off anymore, are you? Women don't die, apparently. While it's naturally highly likely that Arquette won't be returning, Scream delighted fans by bringing back Billy Loomis through the means of her hallucinations. So there could certainly be an opportunity for Arquette to receive his career if the writers ever wanted to bring Dewey back for a small appearance. I promise you in 20 years' time, there will be no men on film. I promise you, we won't be there unless we're represented by some kind of minority or alien, basically, and that will be that. Right, got a couple more articles for you. So where are we? Right, here we are. Harry Styles' former role in a Nosferatu remake revealed by director. The Northmen director Robert Eggers clarifies what role Harry Styles would have played in his Nosferatu remake, which was not the titular vampire, by Adam Benz of Screen Rant. The Northmen director Robert Eggers reveals Harry Styles' former role in his long-gestating Nosferatu remake. The former One Direction member turned solo artist made the transition to acting in Christopher Nolan's 2017 World War II film. Dunkirk. Styles' next screen appearance was his Marvel Cinematic Universe debut as Eros, the brother of Thanos, during Eternal's mid-credits scene. His next role will be opposite Florence Pugh in the Olivia Wilde directed film Don't Worry Darling, releasing this September. Look, it's amazing what Styles has done. It just goes to show you, doesn't it? I mean, I used to make fun of the lad, and now he's a huge Hollywood actor. Just goes to show you, doesn't it? Eggers made his directorial debut with The Witch in 2015, starring Anya Taylor-Joy in her breakout performance, and followed that up with The Lighthouse in 2019, a two-hander starring Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe. After making his first two films with the indie studio A24, Eggers has graduated to focus features for his next film. The Northmen, an epic Viking revenge tale starring Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, and Willem Dafoe, that film is set to release wide on April the 22nd. While on the press tour for the Northmen, Eggers shared some details about his Nosferatu remake, which has been in development since 2015 and has now fallen apart twice, most recently due to stars dropping out of the cast due to fan interest. The director revealed an interview with IndieWire that Styles was going to play Hutter, not the titular role of Nosferatu. See what Eggers shared below. I've been trying to get the word out because the word did carry that Harry Styles was going to be in the movie. I just want to be clear that he was going to be Hutter and not Nosferatu himself. F.W. Murnau's 1922 expressionist silent film Nosferatu, a German take on Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula, centers on Count Orlok Max Schreck, a vampire who relocates to Newtown and begins to prey on Ellen Hutter, Greta Schroeder, the wife of his estate agent, Thomas, played by Gustav von Wangerheim. It was previously known that Styles departed Eggers' Nosferatu remake due to scheduling conflicts with his upcoming album, but now it's been revealed that he was cast in the role of Thomas Hutter, effectively dashing any and all hopes of seeing Styles don vampire fangs. Taylor-Joy has also been attached to star, likely playing the role of Ellen. Even if Styles hadn't vacated the role, the Nosferatu remake probably still wouldn't have materialized, with Eggers even joking that the film may be cursed. If the project ever comes to fruition, it will be the second remake of the classic film after 1979's Nosferatu. The vampire directed by Werner Herzog, Eggers is one of the most unique filmmakers working today, and his distinct style should set his remake apart from past ones. I hope that Eggers continues to do stuff like this. It doesn't join superhero Hollywood and just keeps on doing these amazing movies. Although it does ask the question, what kind of comic book movie could Eggers make? Well, it certainly wouldn't be with the MCU. It would be over at the dceu. And now we have more controversy with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers allows China to censor Fantastic Beasts 3 gay storyline. Warner Bros. Will allow Chinese censor to cut references to the gay relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts 3 by Nicole Mason of Scream. Warner Brothers allows the gay storyline of Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore to be edited down to facilitate its theatrical release in China. The Secrets of be edited in China. Secrets of Dumbledore, a follow-up to the much maligned and financially disappointing The Crimes of Grindelwald, continues the story of Newt Scamatar's adventures with Albus Dumbledore, only this time placing the Hogwarts professor front and center. The sequel is already said to be a vast improvement over its predecessor, if Fantastic Beasts 3 early reviews are any indication. The latest installment is tasked with overcoming some criticism of previous film related to the relationship between Dumbledore and Gellert Grindelwald, skirting around the issue of their past romance. There was also backlash against some depictions of characters of colour in the film, particularly Claudia Kim's Nagini. The sequel, though, it is projected to debut with a soft 58 million as compared to previous Fantastic Beasts. I thought 58 million was what they brought in so far. Again, I don't think Screen Rant are being very accurate with this. Fantastic Beasts entries aims to win over fans who were unhappy with the Crimes of Grindelwald. While Fantastic Beasts 3 does confirm Dumbledore's sexuality, these 6 seconds of dialogue are being removed from the Chinese cut. With the studio's permission, in a statement released via Variety, WB says again, they're releasing statements via the media. It remains committed to maintaining the integrity of the movie and that circumstances that call for nuanced cuts from the runtime. The studio also clarifies that the filmmakers accepted the changes to comply with local requirements, but insists the spirit of the film remains intact. Check out the full quote below. As a studio, we're committed to safeguarding the integrity of every film we release. Oh, really? Oh, really? Tell that to Zack Snyder. Tell that to David Ayer. The integrity of every film we release, and that extends to circumstances that necessitate making nuanced cuts in order to respond sensitively to a variety of in-market factors. I hope it's to release. In other words, we want to make money. We don't care what we cut. are features worldwide as released by their creators, but historically we have faced small edits made in local markets. In the case of Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, a 6-second cut was requested and Warner Brothers accepted those changes to comply with local requirements, but the spirit of the film remains intact. We want audiences everywhere in the world to see and enjoy this film, and it's important to us that Chinese audiences have the opportunity to experience it as well, even with these minor edits. Those 6 seconds may not seem like much. The lines that were cut, featuring the pair admitting their own romantic love for each other, are significant moments. Yes, they are. In the Dumbledore and Grindelwald relationship, the romantic bond between them is still evident in the film's runtime, but it cannot be understated how important hearing 2 LGBTQ+ characters declare their love for each other is, particular in a Hollywood blockbuster. China's decision to cut these Fantastic Beasts-free scenes robs the film of some of its emotional heft. However, given J.K. Rowling's controversial stance against the transgender community, representation seems to be a key aspect of the wizarding world. As meaningful as the Dumbledore Grindelwald scenes could be for viewers, it remains unclear to what extent the controversies that continue to dog the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts franchises will discourage fans from seeing the new movie in theatres. Only time will tell if the brand can still power Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore to box office success. Even if she was to grab Daniel Radcliffe and the whole cast, it still wouldn't matter, right? And I'll explain to you why. Because her controversial transgender views, she keeps on repeating them. She needs to shut up. She said what she said, move on. And maybe Harry Potter can survive. Because this is her legacy. Her legacy isn't what she's talking about about the transgender community and about biological women. That's not your legacy, Joe. And you know that. No one would be listening to you if you didn't write all those Harry Potter books. So you need to stop it. You've made your point. Fair enough. Move on. And this is where the problem is. But this is typical Hollywood. We represent minorities. We represent the LGBTQ+ community. We represent everyone. We want people to see themselves on TV and film. Unless it hurts our bottom line, then we'll cut 6 seconds when 2 gay characters are admitting their feelings for each other. Remember when they put Finn to the back of the poster for the China releases in, I think, was it The Force Awakens or whatever one it was? Basically, they will do whatever it takes to bend the knee. And, and I'm not just talking about Warner Brothers, we're talking about Disney here as well. So that's the thing. These people are hypocrites. They don't care about representation. They don't care about minorities. They don't care about the LGBTQ+ community. It's all bullshit. And that's why there's a pushback from the audience, because we know they're a bunch of frauds. Daniel Radcliffe was almost cast in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Daniel Radcliffe reveals Everything Everywhere All at Once director Daniel Schneid and Daniel Kwan tried to recruit him for the multiverse film by Brandon Louise. Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe reveals he was almost cast in Everything Everywhere All at Once. The science fiction film follows Chinese-American immigrant Evelyn Wang Michelle Yao, who runs a laundromat with her husband Wayman Ki Hu Kwan. As stress rises in Wang's life due to financial troubles, Wayman's desire for a divorce, and her father arriving from China, she soon discovers that she has the ability to access the memories and abilities of different versions of herself from parallel universes. Released in March, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a hit with critics and currently sits at a 97% fresh rating on review aggregator site Rotten Tomatoes. Of course it is. They made sure this movie was going to be a success. It had to be a success, didn't it? Radcliffe's breakout role as the titular character in the Harry Potter series propelled his career at an early stage. After completing the massive franchise, the actor turned to the stage as well as independent films with unique stories. One such film was Swiss Army Man by the writing and directing duo Daniel Schneid and Daniel Kwan, affectionately known as the Daniels. They also just happened to be the creative team behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, thus paving the way for a potential role for Radcliffe, and that sadly never came to be. In a recent interview with Empire, Radcliffe admitted that he was almost cast in Everything Everywhere All at Once, When asked, Radcliffe had a chance to check out the Daniels' new film, and the actor shared his love for them and revealed they considered him for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Read what the actor had to say below. I'm so excited. It's the best. At one point, they were trying to get me in for it, and I was doing a play, so I could not be there, which I'm still gutted about. They are probably the only people in the world that I would say yes to doing a movie of theirs without even seeing the script. If they want me in something, I know that it will be for a reason, and that if they're making something, it's because they have found something amazing to make. So yeah, I would follow these guys to the ends of the earth, really. It is unfortunate that Radcliffe had to pass on Everything Everywhere All at Once, particularly since he seems to value offbeat original projects. Radcliffe's previous experience with the Daniels during Swiss Army Man clearly went so well that he would have signed on to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and without a second thought, he likely would have had a great time on set. Radcliffe recently compared a scene from his upcoming Weird Al Yankovic biopic to one in Swiss Army Man, calling his experience on both films the weirdest things he has ever had to do. Perhaps Everything Everywhere All at Once could have topped that. Since Radcliffe stepped away from the mainstream after the Harry Potter franchise, the actor has changed his range in a variety of idiosyncratic roles. From Holmes to Guns Akimbo to no project seems to be too strange for the former boy wizard. If Radcliffe had been cast in Everything Everywhere All at Once, there will be no doubt that he would have committed to the part, providing compelling performance with both levity and intensity when needed. It would be interesting to hear what kind of role the Daniels had in mind for Radcliffe, though seeing as they had him play a rotting corpse in Swiss Army Man, it likely would have been pretty wild. Let's talk about Dan. Dan is a lovely boy. He's been a lovely boy ever since he started on Harry Potter. But let me give you a comparison. We have Emma Watson, who was lauded as a great actress. She did a great job on Potter, but she decided to spend her life boring on about feminism and identity politics, while Dan Radcliffe decided to roll his sleeves up and get on with his life and, wield a great career. Daniel has picked fantastic projects like indie movies and streaming movies, and it's really held him in good stead. What he's done is amazing. When you're an actor or an actress, or however you identify as, and you've got a good head on your shoulders, like Dan, the world is your oyster. He's talented, of course. So now he's got a great reputation as an actor. And just like Robert Eggers, I hope he doesn't ruin it by stepping in to the mainstream. So, well done, Daniel Radcliffe. Absolutely fantastic. So much respect for the boy. So we continue. Let's see if we got anything more for you. Right, we've got one more article about She-Hulk, and then we'll wrap it up. You'll be happy to hear. She-Hulk is jaw-dropping, according to Abomination actor. Hype is growing for Marvel Studios' She-Hulk, is it? Series, as Abomination actor Tim Roth says the show is jaw-dropping while praising Tatiana Maslany by Cooper Hood of Screen Rant. Abomination actor Tim Roth says that Marvel Studios' She-Hulk series is jaw-dropping as he praises Tatiana Maslany's lead performance. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is moving into a new era of Hulk stories and characters in Phase 4. Thanks to She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany leads to the 2022 MCU Disney Plus show as Jennifer Walters, Bruce Banner's cousin, and a lawyer who becomes a giant green superhero in her own right. And basically, he's going to take the Hulk mantle away from Bruce Banner. Yeah, as I said, 20 years' time, there'll be no men on the screen. Anyway, the series was announced in 2019 by Marvel Studios and sees Mark Ruffalo return as the Hulk and Tim Roth reprise his role as Emil Blonsky Abomination. She-Hulk represents Marvel Studios' first solo project for a Hulk character since 2008's The Incredible Hulk, which starred Edward Norton as the Jade Giant. The shift to focus on Jennifer Walters comes after Avengers Endgame seemingly wrapped up most of Hulk's stories. They wrapped all his stories. No need for any Hulk anymore. Wrapped up most of Hulk's stories as Bruce and Hulk merged to become Smart Hulk and reverse Thanos' snap. Now that She-Hulk is taking center stage, Marvel is also changing the tone of its Hulk storytelling, as She-Hulk has been described as a legal comedy. The series is set to include 10 30-minute episodes in its first season, which will also let Jennifer Walters break the fourth wall for added comedic effect. Details about She-Hulk have largely been kept under wraps, though, but that isn't stopping one of the stars from praising the series. During an interview with ET Canada, Roth had plenty of praise for the series and his co-stars Tatiana Maslany and Mark Ruffalo. While talking about Maslany's work, specifically, Roth said that she's amazing, before mentioning that her performance has resulted in a jaw-dropping show. The Abomination actor went on to explain that this is tied to the former Orphan Black star's comedic ability. Yeah, I'm not mocking Tatiana. She's very talented. I'm mocking what they're attempting to do here. Tatiana Maslany's incredible acting ability is already known by those who have watched her perform before, especially in her Emmy-winning role in Orphan Black. This isn't even the first time She-Hulk co-stars have praised her work on the MCU Disney show. Tim Roth previously referred to Maslany as the powerhouse in the series, while Mark Ruffalo mentioned that the series passes the torch from Hulk to She-Hulk. Much like Ruffalo's past performances, Maslany had to film scenes as Jennifer Walters and do motion capture to bring She-Hulk to life. So far, Marvel Studios has only given audiences fleeting glimpses at Tatiana Maslany's She-Hulk performance. The only She-Hulk footage released to this point focused on Jennifer Walters, while promotional materials have since revealed Maslany's full She-Hulk look. With the series expected to debut on Disney Plus later this year, it will only be a matter of time until Marvel provides a better idea of what She-Hulk contained. This could include teasing fans with Maslany's performance, as well as some of the show's rumoured surprises. So there you go. Just like Supergirl replacing Superman in the DCEU, they're doing this again. She-Hulk replaces our Hulk, the main Hulk. Why can't they both be a separate Hulk? Because men must be replaced by women, because women didn't get a good chance 50, 60 years ago. So it's not about representation and inclusion, everyone. It's about revenge. This has been the Movies TV Mad Daily Live. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I will see you tonight at 6 p.m. UK time, approximately, for Movies TV Mad Live. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you tonight, see you later. I hope you enjoyed all your updates. I'll be back later.